I think the best thing is honestly your mindset. And I don't think that we talk enough about this, about how powerful your mind is and to stay level-headed. I can't remember who told me, but they're like, don't have your emotions be, your highs be too highs and your lows be too lows.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Rainmaker podcast, and we got another lady boss for you today, all the way from Oregon. Shout out to Oregon. We got Erika Walker in the house. Erika, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's dive right in. Take me back to where it all started for you and your entrepreneurial journey. Where did it begin?
Oh goodness. It honestly started at a really young age. I grew up, like, my dad had his own business when I was, little. He had a sports memorabilia store. So I grew up just helping out at the store, at the shop. And then when I turned 18, I got into network marketing. And honestly, that was I think the best and worst thing that happened to me. And I'll explain it, because the best thing that it really just at a young age instilled in my mindset that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to work for myself. And I think when I got a taste of not getting paid hourly or salary, of like, hey, whatever you work and whatever you do, that's what you're going to get out of it. And I was always a hard worker. So I was like, dude, bring it on, but I wasn't in the right vehicle with the network marketing company. So that's why I say it was one of the worst things, because, that didn't really work out so well. And when I went back to try to find another job, I was like, dude, this is not what I want to be doing. I do not want to be working, a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. And I'd always work more, than 40 hours, or try to do overtime, or how can I get a raise? And it was just like, I just knew from then on, that it was just like, this isn't for me. So, so that was, where it all kind of started. And then, I played sports, had some sports injuries that I wasn't working for a while, had some surgeries, and I ended up just being an admin at my previous company for one of the managers there, just doing their front desk work. And, then I started doing hiring. So then I was doing interviews and hiring for them. And I remember one day it was like, that's when I first got introduced to the insurance industry. And I was like, I'm not going to do this, because it reminded me too much of, network marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was just like, dude, I will never do this. I'm just going to be your admin. I'm just going to be your hiring manager. That's it. And then one day it was just like, these people I was hiring, and I had the money they were making, and I'm like, okay, I think I can do this.
Right.
If they can do it, shoot, I can do it.
For
So
sure.
that was it was all, from there.
So let's go back to the network marketing thing, because I always think this is interesting, because we've all kind of gotten started with some kind of opportunity that's similar to this, right? So what year was this?
Oh my gosh, I'm 31 now. I'm horrible at math. I was 18 when I started.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So what were some things that were kind of going on with the network marketing? Because what were some of the things that you loved, and what were some of the things that you just didn't enjoy from the network marketing?
I was doing like the video phone, and the home products that, everyone had. And, so the things I enjoyed the income that you can make. I enjoyed the flexibility. I enjoyed, hey, if whatever I put into it, I'm going to get out of it. Those were the things I loved. What I didn't like was, and I think why I wasn't as successful there, I hated talking to my family and friends. I think
Yeah.
that was my biggest thing. I was just so reluctant. I didn't want to do that. I tried here and there. I was decent at it, but I was like, dude, long term, like, I don't have any leads. I don't have any clients to be going and talking to,
See, that's interesting, because I can remember when I first started, I was a captive agent, and I remember we had to go to sales school. And when I got out, I was probably, this is my second stint as a life insurance agent. I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, we're talking about all this sales stuff, but who am I selling stuff to?
Yep.
And I remember they made me do this P200 list, this Power 200 list. And it's like, get all your friends and family and make this list of this. And I didn't know what we were going to use this for, right? Because this was a
Hmm.
different model. Because before, and back in, I think it was probably like 2004, 2005, I got introduced to Aflac. And so I was selling supplemental health and disability
Okay.
back then. So I was like, okay, I understood that model. But this new model, where I was like, wait a minute, what is this list for? And then I realized when I got out of sales school, oh, these are all the people that are my leads. And I was like,
Yep.
oh no, this isn't gonna work because Thanksgiving was awkward, Christmas was awkward,
Oh,
like the exchanges get weird, and then like it was just a funky situation. So yeah, I could totally understand that. Like, and then the second thing to that is I realized is that they always saw me as little J or whatever. You know what I mean? They could
yep.
never see me past who the diapers that they changed, or who used to come and spend the night over the house, or who they used to put $1 under my pillow for the tooth fairy. So I was never able to establish that professional image to them. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, I've got to get out of my warm market really quickly and get into
Yeah.
professional market where people only knew me as a financial services professional for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So leave network marketing, get introduced to the insurance business, seeing the people making a bunch of money, and you're like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So
Yeah.
what was that first, 30 to 90 days like for you?
It was rough, if I'm being honest. I did not do very well. Um, I was really afraid to present. I was like, I hated going in home. That was the biggest thing for me. I don't know. I was really afraid of presenting. I was afraid of, of just, hold on one second. I'm recording. So that's one thing that I was just super afraid of all of that. And it was rough. I honestly didn't want to do insurance at all. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do something else. But then once I honestly just like adapted to it and got out of my comfort zone, it was just kind of up from there.
Okay.
But honestly, the first like 6 months was rough. I really had to it wasn't natural to me. It didn't come easy. Like some people you see throw out, huge numbers their first month. Like that was
Right.
not myself at all.
Right.
But it was one thing I knew everybody needed life insurance. It allowed me, and then when COVID hit, we went virtual and I was like the happiest with that. And so I was able to work from wherever. And I just really looked at the type of vehicle as to what it would provide, and
Gotcha.
looked at what else was out there. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that the insurance industry was where it was at for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you shared that transparent part about the first 6 months, because I mean it's hard for everybody at some point, and so I'm just curious on, if looking back at that, like what was like one or two things that was the biggest challenge for you specifically.
Um, the biggest challenge for me was honestly, it was my mindset, I think. And the support from my dad, which sounds
Mm,
odd. I'm a daddy's girl, like
mm,
at heart. Like he coached me in sports. And I think seeing him, he didn't go to college, so he was very big on you need to go to college, you need to get a degree. And I didn't do that. His business wasn't as successful as what he wanted it to be. And I remember I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm not just going to go to college. I was a manager at a shoe store at the time, and I was hiring so many people fresh out of college. And I was like, dude, I make more money than you do. Like, I'm not going to, and you're in debt, like, and you can't get a job. So I was like, I'm not just going to go to college just to go to college. And so, my dad would be like, you just need to go get a job. I wasn't making money in the insurance industry. At the in the beginning because I was horrible,
mm.
and he's like, Erica, like I'm all for supporting you, but I think you need to go get a job.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't listen to him. That was the best thing ever. And now he's like, can you go sell more insurance?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to expound on that because far too often, especially in my culture, like, we're always trying to, we want our kids to, do better than we did. But what I have to
Yep.
tell people is like, make sure that the goals and the dreams that you're striving for are your goals. Because I mean, my mother told
100%.
me the same thing. She wanted me to go to college because I came down here to be a dentist, and I realized that wasn't the path I wanted to go. But there's a million ways to have success, and
100%.
success
Yeah.
looks different to a lot of people. It could be a location it could be a monetary thing. It could be the kind of community that you're with. And there's a lot of happy people, unhappy people with a lot of money. And so again, you want to make sure that you are striving for goals that are your own goals. So I'm glad that you shared that. And it's tough in the beginning, right? Because in the
Yeah.
beginning, you're just trying to, you're really using that as fuel to try to prove that person wrong. You know what I mean? And I talk to some young guys all the time about this. Like in the beginning, you need that kind of fire because it gets you going. It's like you're trying to prove them
100%.
wrong, and you need that
Yeah.
to get you to a certain level. But then after you get to that level, you kind of got to release that and make sure you're doing it for all the right reasons, because that can become a toxic trait because you don't want to let external things be the things that motivate you. So I'm glad you shared that. Um,
Yeah.
so so when did it all click for you? Like when did you realize like, okay, I'm not as bad as I thought I am? Something like what happened, and when you realize like, oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money doing this.
I would say after that 6-month mark and I'm the kind of person that too, it's like I want to know what I'm doing, right? And if I'm not good at what I'm doing, like I don't feel confident,
Mm-hmm.
So I think once I was more familiar with what I was doing, the product, the talking to people, I got more comfortable. I really kind of studied my script. I really just kind of dove into it and was fully committed, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in the beginning I was fully committed as what I said I was or
Right.
thought I was. And once I did that after 6 months, and it just clicked,
Mm.
and then it's like when you do so many reps,
Right.
it's like you're going to end up, I played basketball. So it was like, as much as you shoot the three, if you just keep doing it and tweaking things, you're going to end up shooting it. And so that was kind of the thing with insurance, is it was just like, dude, I know if I never give up, I know I'm going to make this work, you
Yeah, for
know?
sure. Yeah,
And
100%.
each day it was like I did something to get better, and then it really just clicked. And then I was at the company, and I was at a previous company before I came to Family First Life, and there were so many uncertainties with that company of what you could get penalized for, your income, like. And so I really knew that, I really knew that I just wasn't in the right vehicle.
Right.
And I didn't think that it was going to be a long-term thing for me at that company, just because there were so many uncertainties with income. Um, but I was making really good money.
Right.
And then when I came to FFL, the vehicle, I was like, dude, this is it. Like, this is what I was waiting for,
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
And my business just 10x'd,
Wow, that's
just
insane.
it's insane. In the first year, we, protected 4.6 million families, something crazy like that. It's like
Wow.
at my previous company, it took me, a year and a half to do, 700
Mm.
families.
Hey, I just want to break in here for just a couple of seconds. If you're a life insurance agent that wants to go from 0 to 100K per month, I need you to listen up. We have a free course that you can grab right now. The link is in the description for this video. You're going to get over 30 hours of training and deep dive instruction on how you can do this. It is the best performing piece that we have that is absolutely free to life insurance agents to take them from where they are 100K plus every month. Follow these instructions, grab the course. It's called Life Insurance Agent University.
In a year.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So let's talk about the activity, right? Because you said that there was something that shifted, and so I'm assuming that at that previous company, you said you weren't all in. So what did it look like before, and then when you actually went all in and committed, what did your days look like then?
I mean, it's funny. I remember Andrew Taylor, I was talking to him. It was like, what would you do differently?
Mm,
Right. Or what do I need to do? I asked him, I was like, what do I need to do? Like, what's your advice? And I was waiting for some like, deep, comment or something, words of wisdom. And all he told me was you need to be crazy obsessed with your business.
mm.
And I was like, that's it? Like, that's
That's
what
it.
you're gonna tell me? He's like, you do. He's like, you need to be crazy obsessed for a couple of years and eat, live, breathe this business. And honestly, the biggest difference that I made is when I made a schedule for
Mm,
myself. I had, my time blocks. I got up earlier. I was not a morning person. I'm up at, 5 a.m.
uh-huh.
And I really just dedicated myself to this business and I blocked out my schedule. And I think that for people listening there, they think if they have kids or if they have, families that they can't do that. And that's not necessarily true. Dima Yovko is one of my right hand people. He's married and has a little one and another baby on the way,
Mm,
and he is he is so successful. He blocks off his schedule. He's on Zoom in the morning. So yeah, you can honestly, you just have to make it work.
yeah, I
Where there's
understand.
a will, there's a way,
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about that because there's some agents that may be watching this that are like, man, you're super successful, and they're kind of out there struggling. So what are maybe a couple of pieces of advice that you would give to your younger self that maybe kind of help you skip some of the school of hard knocks?
To like avoid mistakes.
Well, yeah, just some things to like look out for, like some common pitfalls, like don't give up, maybe, hire a coach, whatever it is, some things
You
that
know,
you would
I
give yourself, you know what I mean?
I think the best thing is honestly your mindset. And I don't think that we talk enough about this, about how powerful your mind is and to stay level-headed. I can't remember who told me, but they're like, don't have your emotions be, your highs be too highs and your lows be too lows.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have really good days and you're going to have bad days, and learn to navigate that, learn to disconnect. Go to the gym, do things that you start your day off right. And then also like find a mentor and communicate with them. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people really try to do this business by themselves and they realize they can't. It's a brand new industry. What I did, it was like, shoot, I don't clearly have what I want. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm going to go find and talk to all the people that have what I want and ask them questions.
Right.
So many people in this industry are, and this company are there to help you and are an open book. You just need to reach out to them,
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest thing of putting your ego aside and learning. I think the ego, and I see new agents come in and they think that they know it all or they want to do it their way, and it's like, all right, go for it. I'm not going to force you, right? But it's like we have the system set up in place, we have the resources. Like if you have something or you want something that you don't have that somebody else has, it, go ask them.
Yeah, for sure. And you said a couple things that kind of stood out to me. So I'm wondering how you kind of incorporate these pieces because the mindset is definitely number one, something that we don't talk about a ton in this business. We don't talk enough about the signs that let you know that you need to burn out, that you are burning out, and then two, what kind of self-care you need in order to have some longevity in this business. And you talked about some of that downtime that you need. So is that incorporated in your life and in your practice? Because I know you're running hard, but you make sure that you have some downtime and some self-care time. How important is that to you?
It's extremely important. And I think that's one thing that I did wrong in the beginning is I was just way too work, work, work. And I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't prioritizing myself. And so I think now, like, I really make sure that I'm diligent on Sundays. That's my rest day. That's where I get stuff done that I need to get done. I choose to not take any meetings on that day. I go to church because before it was like I'm there available all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's great, but also you're going to burn yourself out. And you can't be like that to everybody all the time, 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I've done. I've made sure I'm up earlier, that I'm working out. Shoot, I get my spa days once a month, and I'll take a couple days off.
Yeah.
I'll go to Hawaii and I'll work and, travel, but I'll also take 2 days off as a reward for working so hard. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have this mindset of going hard means I can't do anything at all and
Yeah,
can't
for
live my
sure.
life, and we're so focused on the end result that this is something honestly I'm working on too, of
Yeah.
enjoying the journey, and have goals. And once you hit that goal, go do something fun, go reward yourself,
Yeah.
because it can't be just
Work, work,
all
work.
work.
Yeah.
Because I got to a point, honestly, I was so burnt out. I mean, I ended up taking like a month and a half off,
Mm.
you
So let's
know?
talk about that, because that's interesting. Because because the first thing is self awareness. You have to know when you're getting to that point, right, where you're feeling burnout. And then the
Yeah.
second thing is like, okay, what are you doing to notice that thing, like when you're taking action? So I guess the second one thing was just like, what are some of the symptoms of you feeling like you burn out, right? So I'm just curious on what you noticed for yourself.
I started getting sick a lot, my stress level, I just was really irritable. I was tired a lot. I wasn't sleeping very good. Um, and it would, yeah, those for me were the biggest things. And then, taking a reflection, because let's be real. We all compare ourselves to social media, right? What
Hmm.
we see on Instagram. And for me, this is a vulnerable, topic. Like, I compared myself to everybody on Instagram, and it was like, oh, they weren't posting their vacation, or they weren't posting them taking a day off. They must never take a day off, right? So I had this connection that it was like, if I wanted to get what they had, I needed to work 24/7, right?
Hmm.
And so it really made me take a step back and like self-reflect, and talking to people you're like, you find out that they do things for themselves, they just don't promote it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more of like a business that they're promoting and focusing on their business, and
Yeah.
so for me, I realized that, I need that,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times when you ask for advice, people are like, just work harder, just work more.
Yeah.
It's like, do we really like actually give advice on, hey, maybe you need to like take a day off,
Yeah. You could.
maybe you need to do something for yourself,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the reason why I said the self-awareness was usually you can spot the symptoms and the signs in someone else where it's like they may be burnt out, and you're like, man, I should tell them, but you definitely should. But then, spotting them in yourselves is usually a different one. And the challenge, you're
Yeah.
right, is social media, because all we see is everybody's highlight reel, right? And so
Yep.
we see all of the highs and none of the lows. Well, there's big swings in this business, and if you're not careful, there'll be big swings in your personal life too, where you like getting sick, or you're tired, or you're having tough relationships, and it's just because you're stressed. Like, you're working hard, you got a big goal that you're trying to achieve, and there's a lot of pressure to try to keep up with the Joneses sometimes with the social media. So there comes a
Yeah.
lot of stress. And then the second shoot of that is now if you're working from home, most people haven't never done that. And so everything's all blend together right on top of each other. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is one of the things that signing up another advice deny. So can you hear me still? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
So that's another thing, is that, like, when you're working from home, or inside, you can still get stressed just from sitting behind that screen. Got a bunch of tabs open, right?
Yep.
Emails. You got the monkey brain of things you're looking at. You're trying to learn something. You're trying to check an email. You're waiting on a response back from something. You got Slack open. You got text
Yeah.
message open. All of these things, and that's still stress. It's just a different
Yep.
form of it. And, if you don't get out, if you don't go walk, if you don't stand up, if you don't go to the gym, if you don't meditate, like, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, for sure.
100%.
Hmm.
Yep.
So we get through the first, 6 to 12 months, and you end up helping 4.3 million families. And so what was the journey after that? Where did you run it up to, maybe up to this point, or to the highest peak?
So that was just last year for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, been our peak so far this year, but it's just looking back, it's crazy. When I came to FFL, I didn't plan on building an agency at
Mm-hmm.
all. Like, I remember I told Nina, I was like, I just want, I literally compared how much business to write versus my income at my previous company. I was like, dude, I can still do this because my
Mm-hmm.
comp is a lot higher than it was at, my starter company.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to build a team. I told Nina, I was like, I just want to make enough money to vacation like every month. I'm going to work, 3 weeks, and then I'm going to take a week off and go travel somewhere. And she's like, okay, Erika, sure. Like, whatever you want. And then I was just so happy. I started, posting more, like the lifestyle and everything. And I kind of people just gravitated towards joining my team. And next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, it was like, okay, here I am. I'm really not trying to recruit and I'm recruiting. I wonder, like, I think I want to build a team,
Mm.
you know? And then as soon as I started really putting forth the effort into recruiting and building, it just took off from there,
Yeah,
So this year I'm hoping to hit Hall of Fame as an agency this year,
that's
just
awesome.
because I think we have such a great platform already, and so many great people that it's definitely possible. Like,
Yeah.
FFL, the opportunity here compared to, where I was at in other companies is just, I feel like there's nothing really to compare it to.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess this last piece, which I think is becoming a trend that I'm hearing from some of you all that I've spoken with. Like I had an interview with a podcast with Nina, Bo, and Josh, and they were saying they were attracting a lot of people from their Instagram. So I'm
Mhm.
just curious on kind of what your methodology or kind of process is, because a lot of people are like, oh, Instagram doesn't work, but it seems like it's powerful and it's working to kind of build an agency.
Oh,
So
100%.
so can you just kind of talk through, how that works, or like why is it so powerful, and then maybe just a couple of the steps at a high level of what you do to recruit from Instagram.
You know, I think Instagram's been a huge platform. That's literally where I've recruited almost all my people, is from them watching a podcast that I did, messaging me on Instagram, or following me for a while. I think the biggest thing is your content that you put out. I try to not have it be all work. I have it be lifestyle, gym, my faith, and then work, to have it
Mm-hmm.
mixed up, because people just don't want to see
See.
just one topic, right? Um, so, and honestly, I'll message people, I'll start following people. I'll like some of their photos. If they follow me back, I'll let them, I'll reach out. Hey, what do you do for work? Or, and just start a conversation. Like, I think so many people, take recruiting into about me. Like, oh, I'm going to wait until I feel like I can recruit.
Right.
Right. And it's like, you should be thinking about them. Like, what if you hire somebody that's better than you? Right. Like,
Right.
that should be your goal, you know? Um, and what can this do to help impact and change their life, not you, So, Instagram, yeah, it's worked a ton for us.
Mm.
That's a lot of what we do,
And
but you
how,
have to be consistent, your content. It's kind of like another job, essentially.
yeah, recruiting is
It's
another hat
hard.
for the entrepreneur to
Yeah.
wear, for sure.
Yeah.
So about how many, so if you recruited majority of your agents from there, about how many do you have right now? I'm just curious.
We have like 50 writing agents.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton. So I think that, like, for anybody watching this, is like, everything that you have that you need is already around you. You just gotta use the tools that you have. And so if you're an agent, you can definitely use Instagram because it's free, and you just gotta be conscious of the content that you're doing. And I'm sure for the lady bosses out there watching this, you can follow Erika and check out some of her content and kind of model that kind of strategy to build your agency. But yeah, man, this has been great. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I'm looking forward to connecting with you here in a couple of days in Miami. So thank you
Me too.
so much for hopping on. This has been amazing.
Hey, I know you just enjoyed this video, but I've got a great one for you right here. Make sure you go ahead and click it right now and get a ton more of our free information that's going to show you how to go from 0 to 100K per month.